All right, seventh graders, today we are going to finish the second page of the notes all about writing and solving equations. So you need page 33 out. It looks like this. It starts with problem number 6 because we did 1 through 5 yesterday, and today is just finishing this stuff. So page 33, pens and pencils, here we go. Okay, let's refresh all the steps, make sure we understand what we're doing on these, and we're also going to add notes on the side that help us understand how we decided to set up our equation. First, let's read number 6. For a field trip, 10 students rode in cars. They wrote out the word 10, T-E-N, don't let that confuse you, that's still an important number. 10 students rode in cars and the rest filled 8 buses. How many students? Ooh, here's the question. How many students were on each bus if 210 students went on the field trip? Step number 1, and I'm still color coding it according to what we put on page 32. Step number 1, go back and look at page 32 and remind yourself, what do we do first? Assign a variable, right? And that's all about what is the question asking. How many students were on each bus? X equals number of students on each bus. Number of students on each bus. Okay, step number 1 is assign a variable, and again, that comes from what is the question asking. Step number 2, this is the part we wrote in pink. Step number 2 was, now you are ready to actually write the equation. And this is where we wrote little hints to ourselves over on the side, because you can use your notes when you're taking tests and doing different practice quizzes. Some of you fill out your notes and then you put them away and then you don't look at them again until you're supposed to take a picture for a binder check. That's not really the best way to use the notes. The reason we fill them out is so that then when you go on and do a Canvas quiz, or you do a practice test, or you do any of those things that you know now you have to get minimum scores on, you have all these papers sitting in your math binder. Use them, look at them, help them remind you of things. So when I put this note on the side here, this is all about how do I know how to set up this equation? That's what I'm wondering here. So it says how many students were on each bus if 210 students went on the field trip. If this is number of students on each bus, then it's all about the buses that goes with X. So buses goes with X. And what that means is this. The rest filled 8 buses. So I'm going to do 8 times X, 8 buses times the number of students on each bus, plus the 10 students that rode in a car. There's no variable on that because that's known. 10 students rode in cars. I don't even have to know how many cars. I just know that's 10 more students. And it is a total of 210 students. So remember step number 1, assign a variable, which I did that on your Canvas quiz for you yesterday. Okay, step number 1, assign a variable. Step number 2, actually write your equation. Step number 3 was solve the equation. Now that you have an equation, we're going to put everything into practice that we did last unit. Inverse operations, minus 10, 8x equals 200, divide by 8, divide by 8, and x equals, did you type it in, 200 divided by 8 is 25. This is our solution as a little equation. X equals 25 is the solution. But then, of course, that final step, what you called step D on the last page, relate your answer back to the question. What does this actually mean? This was number of students on each bus. So 25 students on each bus. You always want to make sure at the end that you can actually tell me what that answer was even about. When you saw that and got X equals 25, what did that mean? Number of students on the bus. Okay, let's try another one together. Number 7. The size of Mrs. Garcia's class increased 20% from the beginning of the year. Increased 20%. Ooh, that really means we are increasing 20% of something, so 20% is 0.2. That's what an increase of 20% means. We're going to add 0.2x to something. Okay, if there are 36 students in her class now, how many students were in her class at the beginning of the year? I need to go back to green And pay attention to this question right here, because my first step is really assign a variable. X is number of students at the beginning. There I am assigning a variable. Number of students at the beginning of the year. Okay, step number 2. I've gave myself a hint over here, increase by 0.2x. Okay, so number of students at the beginning of the year, to write my equation, I'm going to start with x, which is how many students there were last year, and then I'm going to increase it by 20% of the beginning, not last year, beginning of the year. This is number of students at the beginning plus 20% of the students at the beginning. All these percent problems start with x, and then you either add or subtract a percent of x. This is increase, so we're going to add, and that is going to equal to the 36 students this year. Okay, let's simplify this. This type of equation has to combine like terms. X plus 0.2x is 1.2x equals, oh no, I used the wrong color. I'm supposed to be solving this now, and I want to write that in purple. Can't mess up my colors. Obviously it can, but I'm fixing it. 1.2x equals 36. Divide by 1.2, divide by 1.2. You can type that in a calculator if you would like to. 36 divided by 1.2 is 30. That turns to 1. And our solution as an equation is x equals 30. And of course, we cannot forget our final step of relating that answer back to the question. 30 students plural, at the beginning of the year. Of the year. Okay, here is what's going to happen right now. There are 3 more questions on this. We practiced 5 of these yesterday. You practiced writing some equations on your Canvas quiz last night. We just did 2 more together to refresh our memories. I want you to try these last 3. Go through this process. Assign a variable, set up an equation, solve the equation, and relate your answer back to the question. That means you get to pause me right now. So everybody pause me and try those last 3. Go ahead, pause me. All right, let's see how we did. So number 8, first, assign a variable. X is the original price of the video game. Then I made a little note to myself off to the side. You can write that down as well. And then I set up my equation. The original price minus 75% of the original means I have to change that to 0.75x. Ended up equaling $5. Now I'm going to solve the equation. You ready? Combine like terms. This time you are subtracting. And why did we subtract? Because it's a discount. Discount, subtract. The whole point is to make it cheaper. 1 minus 0.75 is 0.25. So 0.25x equals 5. Divide both sides by 0.25, and x equals 20. Notice this is not quite finished. What else do I need to do? I need to relate this answer back to the question. The original price of the video game, was $20. Must be an older video game because I don't know of any brand new video games that cost only $20. They cost more than that. All right, number 9, here we go. First of all, I assigned the variable. What was the regular price, which is very similar to the original price? What was the regular price of the skateboard? Again, this is a discount question. So to set up my equation, I'm doing the regular price minus 20% of the regular price. Remember, both of those need to get the x on them. And it ended up equaling $109.60. Subtraction, 1 minus 0.2x is 0.8x. This is the cleanup part, combining like terms. Now I'm going to do the inverse operation part where I just divide both sides by 0.8. All I had to do was multiplicative inverse after I combined like terms. Typed it in my calculator and I got 137. Finally, let's relate that answer back to the question. The regular price of the skateboard of the skateboard was $137. Expensive skateboard. Also a weird original price, $137. Oh. Okay, last one, number 10. Let's see how we did here. And of course, if you messed anything up as you're watching these, you're like, oh, shoot, I messed that up. You should erase it and fix it because these notes are your guide. These are the things that you will look at when you're doing your practice, and these are the things that you will look at when you're taking your test. You want to make sure these are accurate. So if you made any mistakes, now's the time to fix them. All right, last question. Let's see how we did. First, I assigned a variable. Original price of the shoes. That's what the question asks. Therefore, that is my unknown. Therefore, that is my variable. Here's my equation. They didn't mention a percent, but they said I got half off and I also had a coupon. So in order to get to that final price of $20, here's what I did. I did half of the original minus $5. Notice there's no X on that because it's not a percentage of something. It's just a constant value of $5 off. That is not, it doesn't matter what the original price was. My coupon was just $5 off. So 1/2 of the original minus the $5 ended up being 20. Now I start my inverse operations. Add 5 to both sides. This is a two-step equation. And then I had to clear the fraction by timesing by 2 over 1, which is really just timesing by 2. And that means the original price of the shoes. The original price of the shoes was $50. All right. We have practiced up a lot